Well, good afternoon and welcome to the November 16th meeting of the Allen County Board of Library Trustees. And seeing no officers here other than me, I'll do the roll call. Jim Williams.
Present.
Ken Castleman.
Present.
Marty Seifert.
Present.
Ben Eisbart. I'm here. Okay, we have a official quorum. I'll entertain a motion that we adopt the agenda.
So moved.
And the second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not all in favor, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. And if no one objects, I'll group the minutes together for approval. Minutes of the regular session of October 26, 2023. Minutes of the executive session of October 26, 2023. Minutes of the approval of claims November 7th, 2023. Can I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Any objections, questions, or additions?
Yes, I do. Real quick correction on this. On the second page, the listing of the claims, about a quarter of the way down, if you see a line, October 26th, 2023, the last number, number 245773, needs to be changed to 775. The financial information is correct. It was just the check number was typed wrong. So.
I'm glad you caught that.
Yeah, makes my day. Yeah. But that's the only change I need to make on the minutes.
Okay, we'll make that change. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by aye.
Aye.
And opposed by nay. Okay. Let's move to your report, David.
All right, thank you, Ben. First off, there's a couple of lines that I wanted to report are spending ahead of schedule. One is the postage line. Again, it's not a huge budget item, but we've just had a lot more activity and postage rates, we're higher this year, and so just need to keep an eye on that. We may need to move some money in at the end of the year. That's coming up quicker than I thought in December. The other one is mileage. Mileage is going up because we have a lot more, couple of positions that we have like shared managers now between two branches, and they're going between those branches, as well as we've had a lot of vacancies in our EVS area, which means we're reassigning people to clean the branches during the week. So there's been just a little bit more mileage than we're used to. Again, the total budget is $8,000. It's now spent $8,200. So, but it's over, and I like to bring that to your attention. So those are two items. Again, all the budget items for 24 were filed successfully with Gateway, so they're in. We're just waiting for the Department of Local Government Finance for the final distribution of our 1782 report, which is the report that actually sets the tax rate and our expense budget. Susan and I did meet with City Council on this past Tuesday night and gave them our report on our budget and our initiatives for 2024. I thought it went really well. We had a good visit with them, and again, the reason we went there this time is because the legislation changed that they are now the fiscal body when it comes to budgetary and expenditure approvals when we have to ask for something above the growth quotient amount. So went well there, and then we're working on the final, like I said, end of year items, the main one being the budget transfers. We'll be bringing those then in December, as well as some of the final compensation and benefit items. But Lorraine's going to be talking about those later in this meeting as far as the proposal. But that's really about the only items for my report, other than I did get notice from GFOA that I wish I could say it's been approved, but they are reviewing it now, which is ahead of schedule where they were last year. So our annual comprehensive financial report is under review right now, and I have all the faith that it will be approved shortly, within a few weeks. So I'll let you know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions?
Yeah, on the capital project status, and I know you've kind of addressed this in some of our capital meetings and some of those things, but I noticed that some of the HVAC, quite a few of those HVAC projects haven't had any movement this year. And I didn't know if you wanted to just kind of address the rest of the board on
Sure.
why we're kind of holding on some of that stuff and where we're at with that.
Right, a lot of those, matter of fact, just got added. Shawnee, Little Turtle, Pontiac, Tecumseh, and Hessen Castle were all added within the last month, because these are units that, and boy, I'm gonna sound stupid if Jake is listening right now, but yeah, they are units that utilize something called R22 cool, which is now impossible to get. You can't build it with that, and we've wanted to replace these units. We need to, because again, we can't get coolant for it or anything like that. So as the year went on and we went and saw that we had the money to do this, we went ahead and pulled the trigger and are replacing all 5 of those areas. So those branches will be addressed. That'll get rid of all the R22 situations here for the rest of our branches. Some of these are coming up quickly that you'll see spending on also, Kent, like the computer replacement program. That was put on hold while we did Polaris, but I just spoke with Kevin this week and he is going to be putting that through. And Avoid, that's one of the items I was going to mention in my check approval, is we've got the check in here for the completion of the Avoid branch, the $818,000 check. So, by the way, that's the largest check in this check run. It's a little preview of that, but that's what's going on with a lot of the capital items. You're going to see this take off here in the next 60 days.
And those HVAC projects are strategic as we look at our capital projects. We're not doing that work to branches that we anticipate having major renovation to, or that we're planning to sell or replace or anything in our plan.
Right.
It's mainly the ones that we're doing just some light renovation work and things along those lines.
Yeah, exactly. Pontiac, Tecumseh, Little Turtle, Hessen Castle, those were not slated for relocation. So, whether we change the structure or the insides, the HVAC system's going to need to stay there.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Good answer. Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the financial report for October of '24.
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you. David, the
Yep.
claims.
Approval of claims, as I kind of mentioned, we have 1.8 million in claims this week. Of that, 818,000 is the Boyd roof repair, which is finally being completed. It was completed. We're paying for it now. We're lucky. Insurance paid for 98.7% of that. So we only had an out-of-pocket of around 17,000 on that, and that was probably mainly more cleanup and things like that when it happened. So all told, insurance paid off this time. But that's the largest check on this run. The next one is the self-insurance fund payment of $300,000 that goes in on a monthly basis to fund the health claims and insurance for that.
Will that check affect our premium for next year?
It hasn't, because this claim went in 2022.
Oh.
Yeah, so we actually had some of the payment in 2022, and they did not increase our rate. I mean, this was an act of God. It wasn't our negligence or anything like that. That was caused by the derecho that hit. So, and I know insurance companies sometimes can take that and still raise your rates, but luckily we did not see a huge
Good.
increase.
Good. Any other questions? Can we accept we'll pass around the claims,
Right.
a motion to accept it as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Jim. And the second?
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. Okay, now we get to the presentation and approval of the '24 compensation and benefits package. Good
I'd like to
afternoon.
present our benefit and compensation proposal for 2024. We also have some representatives from Gibson, our new benefit broker here, if there's any specific benefit questions that I can't answer. So I thought we'd start with benefits. So for 2024, we plan on maintaining the same benefit plans, traditional, high deductible, as well as the narrow network options for staff. Last year, we raised premiums, but we're pleased to announce that we are not proposing to increase premiums for 2024. You'll see those 2024 premiums in your packet. The high deductible health plan's individual deductible did increase from $3,000 to $3,200 in order to stay compliant, so you'll see that change in there as well. We're planning to move from Express Scripts to True RX for our pharmacy benefit manager, which will allow for more transparent pricing on prescriptions, a better member experience, and flexibility to source some of those high-cost medications. Most staff who are getting prescriptions now won't see a difference. Those that are on specialty drugs, which right now is about 11 staff members, will have one-on-one support from a Sharks representative in December, leading up to January, so that there's that transition, an easy transition for their prescriptions. Staff should see individual savings totaling about $33,000 by making that move. The HSA contributions from ACPL will remain the same. They're pretty generous, I believe. For 2024, employees have the chance to increase their own HSA contributions, but our contributions will stay the same next year.
Hasn't that amount increased?
It increased, yes, it increases every year, but our increase for the ACPL contribution will stay the same. So we give $13.10 for individual HSAs and $26.30 for family HSAs. So we're not increasing that amount, but they can increase their employee contributions. Yeah. So back in August, we sent out a benefit survey to our staff. We got really great feedback. Part of that was Gibson doing an RFP for our ancillary benefits, so dental, vision, voluntary term life, accident, critical illness, and they came back with a proposal to change from Guardian to MetLife for all of those benefits. This should be better coverage for dental, which was one of the feedbacks we got from staff, same with better providers for vision. Dental and vision premiums will remain at $1 a year for employee-only coverage and will increase by $1 for the family plans, because there is an increase going to MetLife. Eligible staff will have the opportunity to enroll in voluntary term life, accident, and critical illness if they don't have those benefits now. We're going to continue to have the spousal carve-out, so if spouses are eligible for insurance at their employers, they cannot join ACPL's coverage. Right now, we have about 40 spouses, down about 3 from last year, that are on our insurance. And then we maintain the tobacco premium, so about a 40% increase in premiums for those employees who are tobacco users, which we have about 11 right now. With wellness, which is still a really big part of our benefit package, we continue our partnership with Parkview for our wellness screenings twice a year, the big one in January. We had 121 staff participate this past January, and we had 19 staff participate in November. So it benefits about $5,600 that staff doesn't pay for those wellness screenings, and they get wellness points for it. We moved from Headspace to MoveSpring app. MoveSpring is a step challenge, so like the month of May, we had an organizational-wide step challenge. The goal was 6,000 steps a day, which to me is much more doable than 10,000. And we had fun competition between staff to stay active. We've had water challenges. Staff can do it in their branches individually too, so it's been a fun app. We had flu shots with Parkview and Super Shots again this fall. 118 staff participated. We continue to offer and receive a lot of participation with our wellness bonus. So we had 159 staff members participate in 2022, so they were paid out in January. And that was 19 fewer than last year, but still 159 participate in those wellness points. So again, they get points for going to get their dental cleaning and their preventative exams and exercising and things like that. Gym membership is a little less popular, but we had 11 employees participate last year, and were paid out in January. Questions about benefit offerings or changes for 2024? And I don't know if you want to vote on this part before we move on to the next piece.
Why don't we divide it?
Sure. Any questions about benefits?
Just on the wellness, is there any other thing that you're thinking about adding next year or in the coming years? How do we increase the gym membership? I'm surprised it's happening.
Yeah, we've had a lot of part-time staff asked to participate in the gym membership. I don't know if we would consider that. I got a lot of good feedback from the staff survey for some other opportunities, and a lot of it's just staff bonding and also wellness. Move Spring has been great, but we did get a lot of feedback from staff about other apps that they want to use. So we were talking about maybe a reimbursement that if you don't like the one we provide, which we only pay for staff that participate, so we're not paying for prescription or subscriptions that we're not using. But giving maybe some reimbursement back to still have some of those apps. So yes, it's a constantly evolving conversation.
Are you doing any, or is it even possible to do a cross-correlation? Those that participate to a degree have a certain level of wellness?
With their health benefits, you mean?
Well, yeah, or utilizing the benefit program less for sickness, but
Yeah.
more for proactive.
We could probably look into that. I think that'd be easy to do.
Because I often wondered about that.
Yeah.
It all sounds good. We've had it in STI for years.
Yeah,
But is there really much of a significant impact?
yeah, we can look into that. It's a great point.
I just offer up, just from a historic perspective, I remember when we put in the wellness program here, the consultants at that time had said, you are not going to see impacts on a year-to-year basis. What you're going to see is over 10 years, the elimination or the reduction of the major catastrophic items, cancers, back surgeries, things that are high-ticket items, because people who are more engaged wellness-wise will be generally more healthy and taking care of themselves. And if it's any indication, I hope I'm not looking over at Alan, I hope I don't curse us, but we have had such great luck with our health insurance fund. We see very, very few catastrophic illnesses and surgeries and things like that on our plan. So my personal feeling is those are the indications that indicate this is a good investment, because people are doing something and avoiding the heart attacks or cancers, backs, things like that. So just my 2 cents.
And if you would allow me a generalization that I believe is based in fact, when we are talking about recruitment and retention for staff, particularly millennial and Gen Z staff, these kind of benefits come up time and time again. They're very meaningful to a younger generation of employees.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Good. Any further discussion on the wellness program? If not, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the wellness program as presented.
And the benefit.
The benefit.
Say again?
The
The
benefit.
benefit.
Well, yes.
So moved. Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay? Okay, we're halfway there.
All right. So our total compensation proposal, as you'll see in your packet, is around $866,000, which is within what Dave had budgeted. I'll get to that at the end. So the first part of our proposal is a 4% COLA increase for staff who make $52,000 or higher, effective that first pay period of 2024. All other staff, anyone who makes less than $52,000, would earn $1 more per hour onto their hourly rate, which, depending on what they earn now, gives them between 4 and 8% increase. And we did that to try to have some equity with staff in lower paying positions, because someone who, in my role, gets 4% is different than someone who is part-time and gets 4%. So we wanted to be aware of that. The staff who would be above their maximum of their pay grade would receive the lump sum, paid quarterly, and remain at the highest rate of that pay grade. We're down. It used to be 7 employees. That would be 5 employees for next year, totaling about 1,900 of that total COLA. So if we did that COLA increase, it would come out to $698,683. Dave had budgeted for COLA increases $719,000. In addition to the COLA increase, we approved a policy last year that enables us to increase pay grades up to 2%, or the average COLA over the last 5 years, whichever one is higher. The Social Security COLA from 2018 to 2022 averaged 4.06%, so we plan on increasing our pay grades 4% as well. So the pay grades themselves would increase. Staff wouldn't get 4 and then another 4. It would just be the 4% or the $1 more per hour onto their rates. Would we like to vote on or talk about COLA before I move on to position changes, since they're somewhat similar?
Your call. We're flexible.
I'll keep going if you want. The last part of our proposal regards title changes or reclassifications of pay grades. And we talked a little bit about this in FMP. But for new positions, we would like to add to our staffing table for next year a library at home supervisor. This would be an M1 pay grade and help manage the growing need for home services, outreach, and programs. Because right now we have 2 individuals in that department, and the need and growth is just higher than what we can offer currently. We would also like to add a social services coordinator as a P3 position. We've recognized the need for an on-site social worker on our staff for the last 2 or 3 years when we've had interns. This person would report directly to me as the HR director. We would like to change the shelvers that are currently in our genealogy department from shelvers in an A1 pay grade to genealogy assistants in the A2 pay grade, which would be consistent with the branch assistants, to better reflect the role that they play in our genealogy department. So those staff members, there's 7 of them, would change pay grades and titles. We would like to change our security officers from an A3 to an A4 pay grade, as the expectations, duties, and responsibilities of our security officers more accurately reflect the technical trade level description of an A4. And there's 15 officers currently, and that's all of the branches. Most of them are at Maine, but that includes the branch staff as well. We'd like to change our software engineer. We have 1 software engineer from a P2 pay grade to an exempt P3 pay grade. P3 positions are recognized as experts in their own area and have specialized depth and breadth of expertise in that function. So if this were approved, the social worker and the software engineer would be the only 2 P3 pay grades or positions in that pay grade. We'd like to move our safety and security manager from an M2 to an M3, which is consistent with other critical system-wide service managers. That manager's over security at all of the branches, whether they have officers or not. Change our event technicians from A2 to A3 pay grade, which is a senior level, as we've adjusted their duties to include, as you can see, more technology, experience, and abilities rather than contract out for those services. And we have 3 full-time technicians and 1 part-time. Changing the event technician pay grade would also bump our senior event technician to an A4 pay grade. And last but not least, I wanted to ask about an adjustment to the starting rate for employees in our EVS department, as Dave briefly touched on earlier. So not changing pay grades, but what we would like to do is start offering new staff coming in at the midpoint of their pay grade instead of starting at the bottom, which is $10.61 an hour. Since our FMP last month, we've lost 4 EVS staff members, 3 of them with no notice. Some are going to Parkview, who start at $15 an hour. So adjusting those would stay in the same pay grade, wouldn't change title. It would just be allowing us to start making offers near that midpoint of the pay grade versus the bottom range. If we did that, we would have 6 employees who are currently on staff who would need additional adjustments beyond the $1 an hour so that they're not starting at the same rate as a new staff member. But Dave and I looked at those numbers today, and it was about $7,500 to make that adjustment. So the total of that, of all those changes, is around $262,500. But we're also not refilling a lot of positions from last year. A main manager, for example, Dave mentioned we had the two dual managers now, so we've saved on a manager position there, some CERC positions, so we actually have a savings in there as well of $284,000. So we are able to achieve these adjustments for a total cost of $866,000, which I mentioned. $698,000 of that is COLA, and $169,000 is all other position adjustments and additions. Any questions?
Let's go back to the compensation program itself. Questions on that?
You know, the COLA.
Yeah, we've discussed this before in the F&P
Yeah.
committee.
Yeah, and that was the only thing I was gonna say, is that for anybody maybe watching today, that, you know, there's been several meetings, and then in addition to that, administration has reached out and offered individual meetings. I know I missed the one F&P meeting where the benefits were all explained, and Lorraine and Susan did a great job then of meeting with me to explain what's going on that end of it. So, we've had a lot of conversations, I think, around it this year on that end, so.
Jim, any questions? Or Paul?
The city and the county did do 4%,
Mhm.
correct?
Correct.
Does anybody know what the, of course, I know the MD library is turtle well down there lately, but what did they do?
I do not know that, Paul. I'm going to look at Kim. Kim, have you heard what Indy did?
I know that they were proposing 4, but I don't know if it's been approved yet.
Right, I'd echo Ken, we've had discussions about this at the public meeting for the FMP, and I think 4% falls in line with what I kind of know is going on out there. We're private companies as well, so I'm supportive of that.
Yeah. Have one question regarding that one position where you want to start them.
Yeah.
Help me understand the recruiting process. If you're recruiting for position A, and the parameters are X and Y, and you have two candidates that are qualified, you like them. One, for whatever reason, is your choice, and that individual has more experience in that position than the other one. Do you have to start at the beginning? So why do you need
No.
our approval to do this?
Yes, so our offer grids look at the whole range. So if somebody were to come into an EVS position with no experience, they would start at the very minimum. If they come in with so many years, it's gonna bump them up based on our formulas. The only reason I want to bring it to you, because I wanted to be transparent, if we start them at mid-range, there's 6 staff members that would be below that mid-range that we would want to bump up so that they're not working at a lower rate than new staff members. And that would be more than the $1 per hour. So we don't necessarily need permission to start a mid-range. We can do that, but I wanted to make sure you all were aware and okay with those 6 staff members that would be below mid-range to bump them up more than the $1 per hour. So,
No, go ahead.
So you don't feel that that creates any pay inequity within that?
no, because we would still spread them out to where they are now, just from mid-range to maximum range, instead of at the middle, or excuse me, beginning and middle.
Any other questions on the compensation section?
The only thing new that you brought up today was the 6 EVS, or
Yeah.
the increase in the starting pay.
Yeah.
or-
Yeah, EVS, yep.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion, we approve.
So moved.
May I second? Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay, it passes. Okay,
Thank you very
I
much.
gave you guys time. Thanks.
Thank you.
okay. The executive director's report.
Yes. Thank you, Ben. Welcome to the beautiful New Haven branch. And I would like to thank our host, Marie Kaufman, our branch manager. And she would love to give you a brief tour at the close of regular session if you were interested. I also want to celebrate that we are about 2.5 weeks in with our new ILS Polaris, plus our new website, plus our new app. And it has been a very successful rollout thanks to the impeccable project management of Kim Bolin and her team. Thank you, Kim. I hope that you've all been able to take a look at the website and the app and the catalog, and you've liked what you've seen. We've had a lot of positive feedback from our patrons so far. I was out at DeSalle in our cataloging department on day 1 of the rollout, and they were cataloging books on day 1. So we had day 1 functionality with this system, which we should have with a system like this, and we were very grateful for. Also, I think about day 2 or 3, Kurt and his team did a webinar for genealogy patrons on the new catalog, and we had people tune in from all over the country. And I tuned in just because, I'll be honest, I was just kind of nosy and wanted to see what people were saying. And the comments from the genealogy patrons were really wonderful. They immediately recognized the increased discoverability and accessibility. And our genealogy patron was one of the primary reasons that we thought the switch needed to happen. There were many reasons, but that was definitely top of mind, and it was really gratifying to see that they recognized the benefit of the change and they embraced it. In other news, Dave mentioned that we were at City Council 2 nights ago and gave a presentation on our budget. We also gave every member of council a member of our brand new strategic plan, and it was very well received, and Council President Hines said it was beautiful. So we were grateful for that. Speaking of presentations, I think Ben will be there as well, but we'll be at the Fort Wayne Community School Board meeting on November 29th doing our annual check-in with them about library programs and services. Another really exciting thing that happened this month that ties into our new strategic plan is that 13 staff members signed up to participate in our very first ever Spanish-speaking staff circle. They met on November 1st, and this group is a mix of native Spanish speakers on staff, plus those with some knowledge of Spanish as an additional language. And this group is going to be meeting monthly to practice speaking Spanish with one another with a focus on phrases and conversational pieces that are useful and applicable to a library setting. And the group also wants to offer insight and advice on improved outreach to the Spanish-speaking community at large. So we're really excited that this group is taking off. Another exciting update is that the ACPL Scholars Program is currently accepting applications for 2024. And this is a partnership between the Library Foundation and Cuesta to offer forgivable loans for staff pursuing the MLS degree. And our Library Foundation pledged $110,000 to this initiative. And our hope is to fund 2 employees in 2024, 2 current library staff employees to give forgivable loans to pursue their MLS. I also wanted to share that recently I was elected the vice chair of the Visit Fort Wayne board for 2024. Also, the Greater Fort Wayne Inc. organization, they held a women's network event in the Kroll Gallery at the main library downtown last week. And that was very successful, and one lucky door prize winner was awarded a free genealogy consultation from our genealogy staff. We also have been in the thick of library conference season, both as attendees and as presenters. Kim was in Michigan not that long ago presenting at the Michigan Library Association State Conference. Plus, she was a speaker at Indianapolis Public Library Staff Training Day earlier this month. I was in Houston last week at the Library Journal Director Summit, and Aja and several members of her team were at the Library Marketing and Communications Conference in Indy last week. And just this week, we just got back, several of us attended the Indiana State Library Federation Annual Conference in Indianapolis. We had multiple staff make presentations, and I attended as many as I could, and they did us very proud, as you would expect that they would. And that is my report.
Sounds like a heck of a report.
It's been a busy few weeks.
Good for us. Any questions?
I did actually. What's this? What is it? This the sheet that we got here.
Oh, these are our library circulation and program statistics.
Okay. All right. I'm not sure that I remember us getting this before. Do we normally get this, or is it
We normally get it in the packet. This was a little late breaking because of the migration to Polaris.
Okay.
We're a little slower now. We'll catch up soon on getting those reports out because we've been kind of occupied with a lot of other things. So
Okay.
usually that's in your packet, but tonight it was sort of a late breaking,
All right.
late edition. Yeah.
I just didn't recognize the format, so I just wanted to make sure. We weren't looking at it. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Let's go to old business. Paul, are you presenting the nominating committee's report?
I certainly can, yes.
Yeah, under old business, if you would.
Yeah, the committee, Sharon Tucker, Gloria, and I met telephonically and extensively reviewed the qualifications of the members that we're going to nominate right now, which would be you as chair, Kent as vice chair, and Gloria would remain as secretary.
Committee recommendation, is there, and no need for a second. Any discussion? I'll leave the room if you want. If not, may I entertain a motion that, oh, not a motion, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay? Thank you, thank you.
Congratulations.
Any other old business? Any new business? No new business? Our consultants don't have to stay, you're welcome to, because we have 3 more hours of this stuff. Let's open the mic then for public comment. Nobody
No
has
one in the
in?
interwebs.
Nobody tuned in?
No, well, plenty tuned in, but no comments.
How many tuned in, just out of curiosity?
I have currently 55 views, 15 people watching right now.
Well, that's good, welcome. Come on down live and in color. All
Yes,
right.
Max.
And seeing and hearing no one wishing to make a public comment and nobody over the lines, I'll entertain a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. Well, have a good Thanksgiving, folks. Let me remind the board that we have an executive session following the tour. Thank you.